When a plane was spotted in Little Rock, Arkansas this week, it got me thinking about some of the connections to Little Rock, Arkansas. Let's take a look. We're going to backtrack a couple of weeks, and on August 1st, Jeff Sessions went to Arkansas, Little Rock. And on that day, President Trump tweeted this: "This is a terrible situation, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions should stop this rigged witch hunt right now before it continues to stain our country any further. Bob Mueller is totally conflicted, and his 17 angry Democrats that are doing his dirty work are a disgrace to USA." He went on, "Paul Manafort worked for Ronald Reagan, Bob Dole, and many other highly prominent and respected political leaders. He worked for me for a very short time. Why didn't government tell me that he was under investigation? These old charges have nothing to do with collusion, a hoax." And recall that the Manafort trial had just begun. So here was the Attorney General at Arkansas stops. U.S. Attorney General urges fix of Armed Career Criminal Act, talks school safety. There he is. He gave a press conference. He made a speech. In a Wednesday visit to the state's capital, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions specifically targeted a 2015 Supreme Court ruling that he says allowed more than 1,400 violent criminals to be released, including 18 in Arkansas. The 2015 decision, which ruled that the definition of a violent felon in the Armed Career Criminal Act was too vague, in part recategorized many offenders as non-violent, particularly those charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. In front of a room of law enforcement officers and politicians, Sessions argued Wednesday that the law's real consequence was to release violent offenders back into the community. Jeff Sessions did not respond to any questions regarding Trump's tweets, but he did say this at his speech.
"The day I was sworn in as Attorney General, President Trump sent me a clear order." He can send out orders pretty quick, and he's serious about it, and we salute. But this is one I really embraced, gotta tell you. And he told me, quote, "reduce crime in America." He'll tell us exactly what to do, but reduce crime in America. I think that's a challenge for all of us. He wants us to take action and bring down crime, make this country safer.
And then a week later, this happened. Yesterday, 8/8/18, the Justice Department had a Boeing 757-223 tail number N19NA in Little Rock, Arkansas. A local radio station reported DOJ employees were loading boxes of documents into the plane. Important to notice, Clinton Foundation located there. Thoughts? Now this is a stock photo. And then also tweeted, "Flight path and registration of the Justice Boeing 757-223 registration, N19NA from Little Rock back to the DC area." And then there's a flight path. And here's the response. Here's a response from that tweet. It's from Valiant Defender, who I believe is Robin Gritz, or someone who is very sympathetic to her cause. The response is, "Significant seizure of documents with a search warrant. To bring a plane in is something I never saw in my 16 years unless it was my squad bringing evidence back from a foreign country, example, Liberia, Rwanda, etc. I believe there's an equivalent to Huber working this there." So she thinks that this is because of Huber, and I wonder if there's a connection of why Jeff Sessions went there a week earlier. Was it in preparation? True Pundit writes that there's more than one plane. It says, "Mystery deepens as DOJ and FBI 757 jet makes second flight to Clinton's hometown, Little Rock. 2 round trips, and 48 hours loaded with boxes and documents. This is getting very interesting. A stealth DOJ flight into Little Rock and then back to Virginia has gone down twice this week, according to flight intel and sources, or would have been stealth if it were up to the mainstream media. Of course, meaning that the mainstream media, to them, this didn't happen, it doesn't exist. It continues. Early July, True Pundit reported FBI insiders complaining about Little Rock's FBI's lack of progress on the Clinton Foundation probe, which they said was being hampered by a loyalist of Andrew McCabe and James Comey. FBI officials in the Little Rock field office in Arkansas are not actively pursuing leads on the Clinton Foundation, according to several FBI insiders who are blowing the whistle on the Bureau's investigative ruse. We don't know whether or not this is really from, are they bringing in boxes from the Clinton Foundation, or what is going on. But there was a report that came out, Department of Justice, on August 9th. It says, Central Arkansas Drug Organization dismantled. 11 defendants face federal drug and firearm charges. Little Rock, a collaboration of federal, state, and local law enforcement officers, arrested multiple defendants Thursday in an early morning operation that dismantled a significant drug trafficking organization responsible for distributing kilograms of cocaine and other controlled substances in central Arkansas. It could be that the reason for these planes is strictly because of the drug bust. Another scenario is that the initial instinct that it's about the Clinton Foundation, because they are taking boxes, they're loading boxes. I mean, it could be that it's both. It could be something to do with the Clinton Foundation going on, and there could also just happen to be a drug bust going on at the same time. But I'm just putting this out there because it's very, very possible that these airplanes have nothing to do with the Clinton Foundation. Now, I want to go back to the True Pundit article. Now, recall, it's saying that as far as they know, the people inside the FBI there in Little Rock, they're upset because there's just very little progress going on in the Clinton Foundation. And it is being hampered by a loyalist of Andrew McCabe and James Comey. Now, let's go down a little bit and find out a little bit more about this. Because this could be the case, right? I mean, they could be hampered and nothing is going on. And that was strictly about a drug bust. But let's continue reading. Little Rock's FBI's special agent in charge, Diane Upchurch, has all but smothered the investigation, which at one point was focusing on money laundering and other financial-based crimes, FBI officials said. There was some momentum, but that is gone, one FBI agent said. We made some huge inroads. This thing, Clinton Foundation probe, it's on its deathbed. Okay, I want to pause here for a minute because I want to remember this point and because I want to go back to it later. It looked like they were making inroads, okay? It means that they were actually moving forward with the Clinton Foundation until now. And now they're at its deathbed. And why? Now let's read the next paragraph and find out why. Upchurch, before taking the head job in Little Rock in 2016 after a James Comey promotion, was a lieutenant of former FBI Director Andrew McCabe in Washington, D.C. She served as a Section Chief, SES, in the Counterterrorism Division for nearly 3 years. This is the person that has plugged the hole. Okay, I mean, trying to get the swamp drained is a very difficult thing. Now, if I'm reading this right again, it looked like they were making inroads until she came along. Okay, this is how I'm reading it. Now, sources report Upchurch is a McCabe loyalist. McCabe, who was promoted to Assistant Director of the FBI's Counterterrorism Division by then Director Robert S. Mueller in 2012, was Upchurch's supervisor. McCabe was the supervisor of Diane Upchurch. and she is a loyalist to him. We don't know whether or not these planes that had come down were for the Clinton Foundation, and that whether or not Jeff Sessions was there for this, maybe he was getting things started, getting things ready, or he just happened to be there a week before. And these planes just have nothing to do with any of this. But I will make note that on August 3rd, a couple of days after Jeff Sessions was down there, praying medic, I don't know if some of you may know of him from the Q drops. He did tweet to everyone out to pray for Jeff Sessions. And he says, you may want to keep this man in your prayer. And this is on August 3rd. So there's that. It may have nothing to do with this. We don't know. But I want to go back. She right now is there working for the FBI. So I want to look at the last 3 people that were there along with her. Okay, I want to look at these 3 people. We have Diane Upridge. Before her, there was David T. Resch, and then Randall Coleman before him. Now, as far as Diane Upchurch, on April 13th, 2016 is when she was named Special Agent in charge of the Little Rock Division. Now, FBI Director James B. Comey had named her as the Special Agent of the Little Rock Division. So she was put there by James Comey, and this was on April 13, 2016. Let's look at the timing of all this. Remember, this was right before the summer before the election, and we have Trump versus Hillary Clinton, and April is when things started to get going. The payments to Fusion GPS, and then they hired Christopher Steele and so on and so forth. This was happening in April. She was put there in April to be the plug in Little Rock, Arkansas. Let's go back and look at Randall Coleman. Okay, and let's look at who Randall Coleman is. Now, Randall Coleman, let's look at when he was in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was there from 2012 to 2013. He was there for a year. Okay. And then he moved up to the Counterintelligence Division, Deputy Assistant Director, then the Assistant Director. He started moving up. And then he moved into here he is in the DC area. 2015, November 2015 to December 2016. So when you look at that, that was a large period of the election center, the election, at least, the end portion of 2015. He wasn't there the summer of 2015 in this division as the Executive Assistant Director of Oversight of all FBI domestic and international operations, including cyber matters, criminal matters, critical incident responses. Now I'm going to go a little bit more into him, but I want to check out this flow chart for a second. Now, if we look at this flow chart, you have Randy Coleman. He was in the AD, the Counterintelligence Division, from May 2014 to December 15. In this LinkedIn, it says November, but that's close enough. And then he was replaced by Bill Priestep in that position. And that would be that position right here, Assistant Director. That would be 2014 to 2015. That would be then Bill Priestep would have taken his position. And then he moved on from November 2015 to Executive Assistant Director. And then we're going to discuss what happened, what he was doing during that time. We'll do that by looking at the IG report, because he's in the IG report. Here we go on page 72. The pages are going to be right here if you can see them. I scroll down. In late 2015, Coleman became the EAD of the FBI Criminal Cyber Response and Services Branch and was no longer involved in the mid-year investigation. At the same time, EW, that's Bill Priestap, replaced Coleman as AD of the Counterintelligence Division. EAD Gia Corleone and DD Giuliano retired from the FBI in early 2016 and were replaced by Michael Steinbreck and Andrew McCabe. What we have here is in late 2015, Coleman, okay, he is now replaced by Bill Priestap. So now that we're in 2016, we have Bill Priestap is now the guy in 2016, and we have Andrew McCabe replacing Giuliano. So we're adding Priestap and McCabe, and Coleman is doing something else. I mean, he's still part of these investigation, but he's doing cyber responses. That puts them out of the mid-year investigation. That puts Coleman out of that. I'll continue. In addition, Lisa Page, who was special counsel to McCabe, became involved in the mid-year investigation after McCabe became the deputy director in February 2016. Now I want to look at the timing here. Okay, in other words, we have Andrew McCabe, February 1st, 2016, he becomes the deputy director. Okay. And then in April of that year, 2 months after McCabe is made deputy director, we have Diane Upridge becomes the FBI, is now the special agent in charge of Little Rock, Arkansas. Lisa's added on, Priestap is there, and Coleman is put in a different position, and he's replaced by Priestap. Now, before I continue with the IG report, I want to make note that we have this Coleman guy, he's there 2015, 2016, and then he's not there anymore. I mean, he is presently, starting January 2017, he's working at Caterpillar as a chief security officer. He's now like out of the loop, like he's working now in Chicago for Caterpillar. So let's go back to the IG report and see what happened, see what's going on. Now, during the whole mid-year investigation, Barack Obama, President Obama at the time, he had made some statements. And reading from the report, it says, Obama characterized former Secretary Clinton's use of private email server as a mistake. Now this, what I'm reading from, is from an interview in 2015, October 2015 on 60 Minutes. And this is because, the server's coming up, right? And therefore he's basically, coming out and making kind of his statements on it, right? So he's saying the server was a mistake, but stated that it did not pose a national security problem. This is what Obama said. And it was not a situation in which America's national security was endangered. Some of these people weren't very, very happy with these comments by Obama. And so we have former EAD John Giacoloni told OIG, we open up criminal investigations, and you have the President of the United States saying, this is just a mistake. That's a problem, right? Former AD Randall Coleman, here's our guy Coleman, expressed the same concern, stating the FBI had a group of guys in here, professionals that are conducting an investigation, and the President of the United States just came out and said there's no there there. Coleman said that he would have expected someone in FBI or department leadership to contact one of Obama's national security officials and tell him or her, hey, knock it off. He doesn't know these people very well, if that's what he thinks. And then came Wiener's laptop, right? Remember that one? Now when he found out, he called up McCabe. He called up Andrew McCabe to let him know what was going on. Coleman stated, I said, hey, listen, I just got called by Sweeney. Here is what he told me. And I think Andy is like, yeah, I already know, I got it. After his conversation with McCabe, Coleman told us, there was no doubt in my mind that when we finished that conversation, that McCabe understood the gravity of what the find was. And then the report goes on to say that McCabe told us he did not recall receiving a phone call from Coleman. He told us Coleman's memorandum did not refresh his memory, but that he had no reason to doubt Coleman's account. What we have here is Coleman said, hey man, I called up McCabe and said, man, this is big. And McCabe was like, today he's saying, man, I don't even remember any of this. Now, when I went over the IIG report back when it came out, I had discussed this particular section in it. This particular guy, now, he had been keeping notes, and there was a meeting between Comey and Coleman on October 4th, and he took notes, and this is what he found. Coleman told us that he kept regularly, took notes in a journal. Coleman's notes from October 4th contained the following entry. Now, it contains stuff on Anthony Weiner, but the main part is where he wrote down in his notes, crime against children. He was the one, Coleman, he's the one that wrote that in his notes. In the OIG report, it says, we asked Coleman about these notes, and he told us that given their placement in his notebook, the notes would most likely represent information he was briefed on first thing in the morning by his subordinates in the Criminal Investigative Division. Coleman stated that he may have passed this information to other FBI executives after the morning briefing with the director, but he could not remember if that occurred here. And then Comey told us that he did not recall the briefing by Coleman reflected in his calendar. We asked Comey if this briefing could have been in the time in early October that he recalled being told about the connection between mid-year and the Weiner investigation. What we have here is Comey doesn't recall, and now Coleman kind of doesn't recall, how did he get the briefing? How did that come about? And he doesn't remember those kind of things. But this is the stuff that he wrote. And no, he wrote crime against children. And again, he is now working. I mean, he looked like he had a really good career. At the beginning of his career, he started off in the U.S. Army. So he was in the Army for 9 years. And then he just kind of moved up in the FBI and kept moving up and moving up and moving up. And then suddenly, January 2017, he's working as a chief security officer for Caterpillar. And I wonder, was it his choice to leave, or was something else going on? Now, the OIG report didn't come until after this, of course. I mean, it came a year later. It came in 2018. Therefore, the things said in the report would not have come out. Therefore, they must have interviewed him while he was working here at Caterpillar. But still, he still made those notes. He still made those comments. He was, about what Obama had said, probably to other people in the FBI. Maybe there were some things going on. It's interesting that, they replaced him with Priestep. I mean, he was moved up. He had another job, but they probably trusted Priestep more to keep their knit, to keep their thing going, and he probably wasn't part of it. Now, next up is David T. Resch. I want to speak about. David T. Resch was named special agent in charge of Little Rock by, again, James Comey, and this was done in January 13, 2014. With him, after he left that job, and he was replaced by Diane Upchurch, okay, the one who is the McCabe buddy. When that happened, he was then moved to another division at the FBI. He became the assistant director of the training division at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. And I wonder, is that kind of a step down? I don't know. But this is the job he had after he was working in Little Rock. Then after that, so he's there now. He went from Little Rock to becoming the assistant director of the training division of FBI Academy in Quantico. And then this happens. On April 13, 2018, he gets a new job. FBI Director Christopher Wray announces 3 senior executives. Okay, he becomes, and here it is right here, an executive assistant director of the Criminal Cyber Response and Services Branch. Okay? He oversees all FBI criminal and cyber investigations worldwide, international operations, critical incident response, and victim assistance. Now that is definitely better to me. That looks definitely better than the assistant director of the training division of the FBI Academy. But then 3 months later, it doesn't look like he's going to be staying there. 3 top FBI cybersecurity officials to retire. 3 of the top cybersecurity officials at the Federal Bureau of Investigation are retiring from government service. Scott Smith, who's the assistant FBI director who runs the Bureau's cyber division, is leaving this month, which is in the article was in July, so he's probably gone by now. And then his deputy, who's under him, Howard Marshall, left also in recent weeks. So this is all the cyber security. This is the cyber division. Now, David Reich, the person who we're talking about, he is their boss, okay? And he is also departing from the FBI now. He's retiring as well. And then there's a couple of other people. There's this car goddess, and there's Jeffrey Tricoli, who oversaw the Russian attempts to meddle in the election and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's all this stuff that's going on. It's all cyber stuff, so there's some Russia stuff going on. And the article goes on to say, it wasn't uncommon for agents to depart after becoming eligible for retirement benefits at age 50. However, Mr. Marshall exit, this guy is unusual because he's stepping down before retirement. Now, this is what Reich had to say, our guy Reich. As I retire after 28 years of government service to transition into the private sector, I have full confidence that under Director Wray's steadfast leadership, the Bureau will remain the FBI the American people have depended on for 110 years. Okay, so that's kind of sudden that he was there for like 3 months. He was put there in April, and then July, he's like retiring. And then that makes me wonder, was he there because, what was he put there because he knew something? Maybe he, being there, because recall that in True Pundit, let's go back to that article, where, again, I want to repeat that, where it says, there was some momentum, but that is gone. We made some huge inroads. This thing, Clinton Foundation probe, it's on its deathbed. Did they make great momentum and huge inroads when Reich was there? David T. Reich. Was that when the inroads were there? Did maybe he was brought back to the FBI? Well, he was in it, but he was a part of the training program. Remember, he was kind of, I feel like if it was a demotion, I don't know, but then when he went back with Ray, when Ray took him, brought him in, did he have information? Did he have information that he gave them and then help them out? Or maybe was he just there to just finish up, and then he was going to retire anyway? They picked people that were close to retirement because they wanted to shut down this division. It's really, I don't know quite what to make of it, but it does seem odd that he was only there for a couple of months. We do know that she's there, and Diane Upridge, she'd probably, like I said, she's clogging up the drain. And were those planes there for the Clinton Foundation? Were they there for the drug bust? Were they there for something else entirely? Were they just cleaning house? Who knows? But I just wanted to take a look at these people and see if there was any connection. And that's kind of what I found so far, was the timing. When you look at it, you have Andrew McCabe. He gets the promotion in February 2016. You have Diane Upchurch. She's quickly put into Little Rock soon after that, probably to shut down any momentum into looking into the Clinton Foundation, because they're in the middle of an election and they want to make sure they cover everything up. And then immediately McCabe gets Lisa Page to be the person that he trusts that's going to speak to him. and you have then Priestip replaces Coleman, who then moves on to another division. And a lot of these things look like that they're connected, that people are being put into positions to do certain things. And a lot of it is, number one, it's to hide Hillary's crimes. Two, it's people that they can trust to then go on with their Framegate, Spygate, Russia hoax, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully there's something going down and that they are going after the Clinton Foundation. And, you know, maybe they are. And if they are, maybe they don't even want to tell Thomas Paine of True Pundit, because this is stuff that's very dangerous. Anyone that messes with the Clinton Foundation can get themselves in trouble. Thank you for watching.